Bread Kitchen. This week, not only am I going to show you how to make a really delicious garlic and herb bread, I'm also going to show you how to make them in flower pots. So I've bought some new clay pots. These are 5.5-inch clay pots and I'll use those for loaves. These are 3-inch clay pots and I'll use those to make individual rolls. Now before we do anything else, we need to season these pots to prevent them sucking all the moisture out of our bread dough. I'll wash them inside and out in soapy water. Now rub them thoroughly inside and out with some vegetable oil. Then bake at 180C fan oven, 200 normal oven for 30 minutes. Once they've baked, allow them to cool. Now to make sure the pots are properly seasoned, we need to oil and bake them another 2 times. Now my flower pots are seasoned and ready for use. It's only necessary to season the pots before you use them for the first time. So once they're seasoned, they're seasoned. Now let's make the bread. To 270 grams of lukewarm water, I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. Mix well and leave for 10 minutes for the yeast to start going. In this bowl I've got 450 grams of a good strong bread flour. I've got 350 white and 100 wholemeal, but you can use any combination you like. I'll add 1.5 teaspoons of salt and mix them together. Now make a well in the centre. Add in the yeast water mix, together with 50 grams of melted butter, or you could use vegetable oil, a crushed clove of garlic, and here there's a teaspoon each of dried parsley and dried sage. Now mix all this together to a nice smooth dough. What you'll end up with is a very soft and it's a little bit sticky, this dough. Now to clean your hands, sprinkle on a little bit of flour, and a little bit, and rub your hands together, and there we are, non-sticky hands. Pop the dough onto a surface and knead thoroughly for about 10 minutes until the dough is lovely and soft and smooth and elastic. It's losing its stickiness as I'm kneading it. As you can see, it's not sticking to the surface at all. So after 10 minutes of kneading, you should get this lovely soft ball of dough. My hands are clean, the surface is clean, it's just slightly tacky. Pop the dough into a lightly greased bowl, cover, then leave in a warm place until the dough has about doubled in size. After about an hour and a half, my dough has risen nicely. So I'll just turn it out onto the surface, knock it back to get all the gas out, then pull the dough together. Now I'll split this dough in half, and to one half I'm going to shape it into a ball, and then I'll put it into one of my big flower pots. This has been greased on the inside with butter, or you could use margarine. Just push that down, then cover and leave in a warm place to allow the dough to rise. Now split the other pieces of dough into 4. I'll just fold the edges into the middle, turn over, and then roll round to make a nice ball. And then I'll pop it into one of my little flower pots, and again I've greased the inside with butter. Drop that in, cover with a little piece of film, or you could put these in a large plastic bag, and again pop that somewhere nice and warm. Now I just need to wait for these to rise. After about an hour or so, you can see that these have just about reached the top. So I'm going to brush the tops with beaten egg as a glaze. Then if you want to, you can sprinkle something on the top. I'm just going to put a few fennel seeds on the top of each loaf here. Now these will go in the oven at 180 fan oven, 200 normal oven. The big loaf will go in for about 35 minutes and these will go in for about 15 minutes. And here are the rolls. I'll just leave them to cool. They're rather cute, aren't they? And here's the larger bread. Again, I'll just leave this to cool in its pot. Now if you seasoned your pots correctly, they should just fall out. with these, you might want to serve them in the pots. They're so cute. This bread goes really well with a nice bowl of soup, or just on its own with some butter on it. Now you can make any kind of bread in flower pots, and likewise you don't have to make garlic and herb bread in flower pots. You can make them in a regular bread mould. One last piece of advice, make sure you do buy new flower pots. Don't use old tatty ones that happen to be lying around the garden shed. I hope you enjoy making your garlic and herb bread, and particularly in flower pots. And do join me next time in the bread kitchen.